My name is Katie from the Homesteading RD. Today is going to be fun. We're going to do a little tour through different parts of my homestead, and I'm just going to be pulling out my tried and true favorites. So I'm really excited about this, and if you are looking for some gift ideas for a special homesteader in your life, or if you're trying to get ideas for yourself, I think this is really going to help. We've been homesteading since 2013, so I've kind of been through it all, and I definitely have some favorites and some tried and true things. We're going to see some items that I've had from the very beginning that I still love and have obviously stood the test of time there. There's also some unique, cool new things that I've acquired along the way that I wish that I had in the beginning. So this is gonna be fun, just kind of share my favorite things and hopefully inspire you and give you some ideas if you're looking for something like that. And we're gonna cover all sorts of price points too. So if you only have 12 bucks to spend, we're good there. If you're really wanting to do a big gift, we'll cover a few higher ticket items as well. So let's go ahead and dive in. We'll just start right here in the garden shed. So this first one in here is a Rue apron. Let me get my coat off so you can take a peek. So this is a fairly new to me product, and it is so cute and so functional, something that I wish I would have had in the very beginning. So here it is, and it comes in a bunch of different colors. This is great for working in the garden, hands-free. You have this whole pouch that you can load with all sorts of vegetables. The thing that I really like it is picking apples, because it moves along with you and it handles a lot of weight. It has a crossband design so that it doesn't hurt your back, and a little clip here. It's super adjustable to lots of different sizes. So this would be a really great gift idea for anybody who's getting into gardening or even seasoned gardeners. And the thing that I really like too is that these little toggles, you can unsnap these and then everything dumps out the bottom. So you can just unload your whole garden produce haul into a bowl inside wherever you're gonna go. Okay, still Minnesota in December. Let's get the coat back on. So item number 2 is something that we got a couple of years ago when we had a lot of trouble with predators. We had a fox move in and it took about half of my flock. And it was just awful. And we were trying all of these different tactics to try and spook it away, live trap it. We had our dogs and we couldn't get ahead of this fox. So we picked up this. So this is what I like to call wavy tube guy, worth every single penny. When we moved out here, I definitely set him up before I kind of understood our predator situation. And if you have chickens or really any other livestock, you're going to deal with predators. Even if you're in the city, it's just going to happen. And this has been the best predator deterrent ever. Let's plug it in and I'll give you a look. There he goes. So this guy is awesome. Like, he's moving, he's unpredictable. Predators are just like, nah, I don't want to deal with that. And it's so easy. You can just put it in your chicken yard, done. And it folds it pretty small when you don't need it. This is worth its weight in gold. Now, thankfully, we've been really lucky about predators out here. I think we just have a balanced ecosystem that we haven't had a single run-in with a predator in a year and a half, which just seems wild to me. At our old homestead, we were constantly battling the predator. So most people are dealing with that. So if you have a chicken keeper that you're shopping for, definitely think about Wavy Tube Guy. I'll also put a link to him in the description. This next product is the sponsor of today's video, and I'm so excited to share it with you. It's Backwoods Home Magazine. This is something that I've been yearning for. I don't know about you, but online stuff is great. Like, you're obviously watching my video on your laptop or your phone, and I run a blog. I have blog posts on there, but there's something about paper where you can just sit there and not look at a screen, and you can bring something with you if you're going to an appointment instead of just sitting there staring at your phone. And this is just such wholesome, amazing reading. I've really been enjoying getting into these magazines. There's all sorts of topics related to homesteading in there, whether it's food preservation. They have some great canning articles that I've been enjoying reading in here. There's even processing articles, hunting, chicken keeping, how to make cheese, you name it. This has been such a joy to read. And the thing that I really like too, you know, all magazines, they come with ads and everything, but not only does this have very few ads, the few ads that are in here are things that I'm actually interested in, like wood boilers and mobile processing units. It's just Been so great to sit and read this. It's bringing back childhood to me. I used to be an avid magazine reader and I just kind of got out of it. And so this is truly going to be an amazing gift. And I'm just so honored to partner with these guys. The other thing that I absolutely love about paper is that you have this forever. You know, the online blog posts and YouTube videos, while they're great, if the grid goes down or you lose power, all of that is gone. And this, you can hang on to all of those survival tips and recipes and how-tos. This is yours. Really consider adding on a subscription to the Backwoods Home magazine. They also have a sister magazine called Self-Reliance, and you can get 50% off a year subscription. These are just quarterly magazines. If you shop through my link, I'll put it all in the description below. This is just, I'm so excited. This is something that's been missing for me, and wintertime is the best time to start reading, so I've really been enjoying flipping through these. And I wanted to show you a page in here. I dog-eared it the other day. There was this great article on botulism, and not only did they break down a big, kind of complex, scary subject into easy to read chunks, but look at, they have great illustrations in there. It just made it fun to read. It just kind of feels like you're learning from a friend, and there's some names that I recognize in here. Yeah, just super pumped about this. Okay, and then while we're talking about books, I narrowed it down to my absolute favorite books. These are the ones that are pretty much out all the time, and I think books are just such a great gift. That's where I got most of these. These have all been on my Christmas list throughout the years, but these are my absolute favorite. So if you're wanting to learn more about foraging for medicinal herbs and making home remedies, Rosemary Gladstar's Medicinal Herbs book is just awesome. You can see I have all sorts of tabs in here. This has been used very heavily and it really increased my confidence in foraging for those medicinal plants. Next one is Freeze Fresh by Crystal. Love Crystal. She's just over in Wisconsin. This is such a great beginner book when it comes to food preservation, because freezing is something that we all have access to for the most part. Most of us probably have a freezer, and all you really need is a Ziploc bag. You can start there. So it's just kind of a great entry-level way to start food preservation. You don't need a big canner, a dehydrator, or a freeze dryer, or any of those things. And Crystal just did an amazing job with this book. Not only is it just such a great learning tool, I've learned so many things from this book, but she also goes through every single fruit and vegetable, how they are best prepared for freezing. And then there's recipes too, so you can kind of level things up, like pickles. Did you know you can freeze pickles? So love this book, and it's often on sale. So I'll put the link to that in the description. I'll put a link to all these down there so you can check it out. Next up is the classic Stories Guide to Raising Chickens. I bought this in the very beginning when we first got chickens about 10 years ago, and it is still my go-to book. Absolutely love this, and I love that it's more in-depth too, so you can even learn about breeding and incubating eggs. There's butchering stuff in here, so this is just such a great go-to book. Fermented vegetables, this is one that I just added on maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I so wish I had it in the very beginning, because fermentation is so easy. It's something that you don't need a lot of equipment for, and it's the only form of food preservation that actually increases the nutritional value afterwards, where with freeze drying and canning and dehydrating, you lose nutrients along the way. So this book is just awesome. It goes through pretty much any vegetable you could think of. There's even things in here that I would have never thought to ferment, like eggplant. I gave it a try, and actually it was surprisingly good. It looked not great, but it tasted amazing. So you just never know what you're gonna find in here. There's just beautiful pictures. I'll show you just like a sampling of all the different fermented things that you can make. So love this one. I just got my mom this for Christmas. So yeah, definitely check it out. This book is probably on every homesteader's bookshelf. So this is just your classic ball canning book. Most of my canning recipes come from this book. I am kind of a play it by the book canner. I do a little experimenting on my own, but most of the time I like to stick with true trusted recipes. So this is a great one to get started with. There's even tips on just how to can and just all those beginning things. There's also a lot of troubleshooting pages in here. So if you're having trouble with your pickles getting crunchy, it kind of walks through how to deal with that. So just a really great learning tool. And then the last book, I saved the best for last. This has been at my side since I started my first garden in 2008, so in my little backyard. And this is a new copy. There's since been new editions, so this one looks a whole lot better than my first one. It was just like bent up and covered with mud, but the Vegetable Gardener's Bible, it's a must-have gardening book. This really set the stage and helped me become the gardener that I am today. So highly, highly recommend this one. I'll also link this for you guys. And I'd like to give a little plug for myself. I have built 3 different educational courses, and I would love to have you or a loved one, anyone who really wants to level up their skills on gardening or meat chickens. So those are kind of the 2 topics that I have my courses built around. So the first one is how to plant a garden step by step. And that is just an absolute foundation to starting a productive and efficient garden and really putting in the work right at the beginning. So I'm going to help you figure out what kind of soil you have, where's the best place to put your garden, what kind of garden you should have, whether it's raised beds or in ground. And then of course the whole how to design a garden. So what plants should be planted next to which ones should stay apart, how to incorporate perennials, how to shop for seeds. So there's a lot that goes into planning a garden, and it can get really overwhelming. So that is my first one and my most popular course. And then my next one is raising pastured meat chickens from chick to drumstick. So that one is about how to raise and process your own meat chickens. So that one's a little bit more of a raw topic than gardening, but it's still important, especially if you're at a point where you've started the garden and you have the egg chickens and your next step is the meat chickens. This course is for you. It's really that next level to self-sufficiency when you can put meat on the table. So if you're wanting to gain some confidence and get some help as you prepare for that next level, I would love to have you. And then my third course is just a mini course talking about how to process your own old laying hens and roosters. So that's kind of a good one for getting your toes wet if you're not quite ready for meat birds yet, but you have some roosters that need to go or old hens. I kind of can walk you through that as well. So you can get all 3 of my courses for 10% off with my code THRD10. I would love to have you. Next up is the Nutri-Mill grain mill. This has been awesome. I've had this for 8 or 9 years. I got it when I was first getting into sourdough, and I really wanted to level up my sourdough making by grinding my own grain, because not only do you have full control of how it's blended, but then you know for sure that it's 100% whole wheat, and that flour is just so much fresher and more nutrient dense, because as soon as you grind up that grain into flour, every day it's losing nutrients. And so that flour that you get from the grocery store in a bag or even from Azure Standard is old. And so grinding your own grain is just a great way to get the most nutritional value and full control of the product. And over time, you'll definitely save money for sure. So you can get big old bags of wheat berries for a fraction of the cost of pre-ground flour. So definitely consider a grain mill if you're getting into sourdough, or if you know somebody getting into sourdough, or if you or someone you know is sensitive to gluten. So that's been my transition. I figured out about 5 years ago that I'm sensitive to gluten. And so I almost got rid of my grain mill. I was like, oh no, I can't make sourdough anymore. I don't need this. And then I got to realizing that gluten-free flours are crazy expensive. And a lot of them have gums and all these additives that I don't want. And so now I grind my own gluten-free flour. So all I do is half gluten-free oats, half brown rice, and it makes an awesome flour. So that's what I use this for. And I do have a discount code for you for the mill if you're interested. I'll put that in the description. Next up is something that you'll see in probably any homestead kitchen, and that is a canning set. I've had this for probably close to 15 years. This was one of the first things that I got, and it comes with all the tools like the jar lifters and the funnels and things like that. So a canning kit is just an absolute dream starter item for anyone wanting to be more self-sufficient. You don't even have to be on a homestead yet. I got this when I was in our tiny little house still in Kansas City because we had a grapevine and I wanted to can some jelly. So you just gotta start somewhere. So this initial canning kit is just a great place to start. And then the next one is really heavy, but this is a pressure canner. So this is kind of the next level canning. So if you know somebody that's already been doing some water bath canning and they're ready to bring it to the next level, pressure canner is great. I got this maybe 8 years ago, and the things that you can pressure can that you can't water bath can are your low acid foods. So that's gonna be things like plain vegetables such as green beans or carrots, that type of a thing, or meat products. So I do a lot of canning of my bone broth so that it's shelf stable. You can also do ready-to-eat meals. So it's kind of just that great next level of canning once you've kind of gotten all that water bath canning under your belt. Pressure canners are definitely a little bit more on the pricey side, especially these all-American pressure canners. So it can be a little bit of a sticker shock there when you're first looking at them, but they are worth their weight in gold. Love having one on hand, and just it really levels up your ability to preserve anything. So this next one I have perfected over the years, and I hope it's helpful for you, and that's fermentation supplies. So we're talking lids and different weights. So I have several different kinds of weights that I've been experimenting with. This one kind of has the nub on the top, so it's easy to pull out of the jars, which I thought was going to be my favorite because it is. It's easy to grab it and pull it out. Where this is the other one, it's where that little handle is kind of inside, so it's a little harder to grip. And what I've come to realize is this one's still my favorite, even though it's a little harder to grab, but it's still possible, and that's because of the height difference. So this one was just taking up too much space in my fermentation jar. I am a greedy gardener and I like to really be efficient with my space. So ultimately this one has been my favorite, but either are fine. But if you are new to fermentation, you might be wondering why you even need weights in the first place. So these really help push and weigh down any of your fermentation vegetables so that nothing touches the surface. So how fermentation works is you're going to have all your vegetables and then a brine on top, and those vegetables have to stay submerged. If they touch the surface where the oxygen is, that's when you can get mold growth. And that is so sad when you have to throw out your whole batch. So this just kind of keeps everything down. They're the perfect size to fit into wide mouth mason jars. And then you're good to go between the weight, the lid, and a mason jar, and you can start fermenting. So I love that it's super simple. You don't need a ton of equipment, and these lids are great. I've also experimented with several different brands, and these are my favorite. They're just so easy. They're silicone. You just stick it right on a wide mouth mason jar, and it has like a little vent at the top, so it'll kind of auto burp so you don't have exploding jars. So these are great, and they're pretty inexpensive. So if you're looking for an inexpensive gift, these would be awesome. So the next one is a kombucha kit. This was one of the first things that I got into many, many years ago. And if you're not familiar with kombucha, it's just fermented tea. So it's a great, delicious, gut supporting probiotic. I call it an alternative to soda because you kind of get that acidity and bubbly taste without obviously drinking soda, and it's super easy to do. You can flavor it however you want. So just such a fun gift idea for you, or any of your family, friends, you name it. You can all start brewing together, and you can trade bottles and kind of taste each other's different flavor combinations. It's just super fun. So this kit is great, but you do have to also buy a package of some swing top bottles because eventually you're going to want to bottle your creation. This next one is a new skill for me, and it's something I've really been enjoying, and maybe someone in your life would enjoy it as well. And that is doing some whittling or woodworking. Specifically, what I've been trying to learn is how to carve wooden spoons. I am far from an expert, but I'll show you the couple spoons that I've carved so far. So this one I actually did in a class up in Duluth. I went up with a neighbor of mine, and that was super fun. And this one I've done on my own, just out of some birch that I found on my property. So it's just a great way, if you find a down branch, just start whittling away, and definitely a good wintertime activity or summertime. This past summer, I would just sit in the yard, and it's just very therapeutic. So this is the big kit, but they have a smaller kit too that is specific just for wooden spoons. That has 3 tools, or you can go for the big old set too. So yeah, just a really neat idea. And someday I hope to expand beyond spoons, but for now, this is challenging enough for me. And believe it or not, we're gonna be starting seeds before long. So now's the time to get your seeds for the following season. And I have been a very devout fan of high mowing seeds for, gosh, probably close to a decade. That's 99% of what I grow, and they just do such a great job. You can check out my garden tours from this summer to kind of see in real life kind of what I'm getting from their seeds. But I do have a 10% off discount for you, and they rarely ever do sales. So this is awesome. Definitely take advantage of it. And I hope you have a lot of success in your garden next year. The next thing I don't have in the cabin, they're way up on a top shelf in the shop, but that is an incubator, which is such a fun way to start a flock or expand your flock. I am totally addicted. I'm going to admit to you guys that I own 7 incubators, so I have tried them all, and I had like a little hatching business there for a few years ago. I've since kind of let that dream die, but I've hatched a lot of chicks, so I can honestly tell you which are the best incubators, and I kind of have 2 tiers. One is a beginner, smaller tier if you're just kind of wanting to do a little backyard flock, and then I have my big fancy incubator, which is wonderful if you're wanting hands-off, kind of do bigger hatches. So the first entry-level incubator is by Chicozy, and I have been so impressed. It's actually a fairly new incubator to me. I got it last year, but I did 2 hatches in it this past spring, and I was so impressed. The hatch rates actually surpassed my nice incubator. I was kind of like, oh wow, this is really great. So I might start using that even over my nice incubator. So I've been so impressed with it. I'll make sure to link that one below so you can check it out. As far as the nice incubator goes, that's the Brinzy. That's kind of the one that people talk about all the time of being the best incubator. And I agree, it's amazing. The thing that I really like about that one that the Chicozy can't do is it automatically adjusts humidity for you. So if you want 42% humidity, it will lock in at that amount for you for the entire duration. Where all the other incubators, yeah, I think Brinzy is the only automatic one that I know of. So pretty much all the other incubators out there, you have to manually add water, and it kind of fluctuates from day to day, and it's hard to get it perfect. Where, yeah, the Brinzy just locks in. I've gone on international vacations and left my incubator, and I didn't even have to worry about it. That was great. They are pretty pricey, but they are kind of rock solid incubators, and they come in large capacity. I have the 28 egg model and the 58 egg model, but I will say I think that I like the 28 egg model better. I think it works slightly better than the 56 egg, especially when it comes to lockdown and maintaining that high humidity level. The 56 one just struggled a little bit more to keep that humidity up. So that 28 Brinzy, it's just a lovely incubator. But man, that Chicozy one is good too. So those are my top 2. It's just such a fun experience. I'm probably biased because I love incubating, and I did it once as a little kid, and that was one of my most treasured memories. We were living in a small little house in southeast Minneapolis, and we still did it. We had to get rid of the chickens afterwards. We donated them to a farm, but it was just, we got to keep the chicks for a couple weeks, and it was just such a cool experience as a kid. So definitely think about an incubator. So I'm going to put another plug for myself. I have another product that I absolutely love and adore and could never run our homestead without it, and that's the Ultimate Homestead Planner. I've been tweaking it and perfecting it year after year, and so this is the new one for 2025, and this is just gold. It has over 200 pages to help you stay organized and do record keeping and everything for all different parts of your homestead, whether you have a milk cow, egg chickens, meat chickens, you need butchering records, barn cat records, pantry inventory, you name it. I have a lot of incubation stuff in here as well. So I thought I'd flip through on some of my most used sheets so you can kind of take a look at how I use it and the most valuable pieces to me. But there are over 200 pages in here, and I love that it's a PDF, so it's a digital product, and you can just print off what makes sense for you. You're not dedicated to this pre-made planner book where all of a sudden now you have all these sheets you're not using, or what if you want 10 sheets of one thing? You can do it with this. I like to keep everything in a clipboard. Some people will do a 3-ring binder, but this just works well for me. And I have multiple clipboards so I can kind of organize them based on the type of sheets that I have in here. But I would say that the chicken ones are definitely some of my most used sheets, like incubation records. I mean, she is full. I was recording all sorts of great things in there. This is one that I was using for maple syrup. So that is coming around. Hopefully March we'll be tapping maple trees again. Also flock records. So this is great for doing a head count every once in a while, making notes, just keeping track of how old your chickens are, because after you have many, many generations, It's hard to remember who is who and how old they are and if they're getting close to becoming part of the dinner table. A lot of these inventory sheets are super helpful. I just filled mine out now that all my food storage is put together. So I just write down how many jars of each item I was able to pack away. And then that way I know next year, was that enough? Was that too much? Do I need to do more? So it's just a great way to know where you're at and what your goals should be for the following season. And then gardening stuff, this is well loved. I left this out in the rain once this summer and it somehow survived, but so many gardening organization sheets and just helpful hints, and yeah, definitely have a lot of gardening sheets going on in here. And if you are someone or know someone that isn't quite on the homesteading level where they need all the different categories, I made smaller planners too. So if you just want gardening content or if you just want chicken content for the planner, I have those too. And then next, let's head outside for another product that I absolutely love. Hopefully you can see them there. Are my raised beds. So these are Birdie's beds from Epic Gardening. I have 3 of them, but they have worked so well for me that I'm adding 2 more. I think I'm gonna do 2 more down there. If you saw my garden tours this summer where I was doing my pepper experiment, the raised beds have saved the day. Here in Minnesota, we just don't get that warm and peppers need that heat. And it was incredible to me how much better the peppers did in this bed compared to my in-ground garden back there. Even though it's the same exact soil, same exact compost that's in here versus my garden out back. So these raised beds are great. They're easy to assemble, lots of colors, and just would be a great starter gift for anybody. They come in lots of sizes too. So they have small little round ones, just kind of an easy place to start compared to, you know, a big in-ground garden, which I love, but they each have their own places. And I do have a discount code for you guys on these beds as well. I think it's 5% off. So I think that's it for my favorites. There's obviously a lot of other products that I use as well, but those are kind of the ones that stuck out to me as like my tried and true, are core to what I'm doing here, and would be a great and much appreciated gift to either yourself or someone that you know. And if you have any questions about these products or if you're torn between a few things, just ask in the comments. I love talking with you guys in there. And huge thank you to Backwoods Home for sponsoring today's video. They've just done such a great job with those magazines, and I hope that you love them as much as I do. They are definitely out on the table, and I've just been really enjoying slowing down this winter and just consuming some well-written, wholesome content that's also adding to my skill set. And yeah, just such a great gift. So thanks so much for being here. I so appreciate you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you on the next one.